see. Okay, so the forehead is on, the throat is on, the chest center is on, and the solar plexus is blocked, and the sacral energy center is blocked. So we have a split at the diaphragm. The diaphragm, a unique structure that transects our body and separates it from upper and lower. So we're open at the forehead, open at the throat, open at the chest, blocked in the solar plexus, and blocked at the sacral energy center. 2.1 now, we have the lymphatic, the gathering of lymph nodes. So there's a large collection of lymph nodes that drain the upper limb in the armpit, same in the groin, and then we have lots and lots of lymph nodes around the tummy area. So the mass has got 6 holes, so we use them to visualize those 6 centers. So top right is on, middle is open, and lower right is open, left is open, middle is open, lower is open. So the lymphatic system working well enough to clean and recycle our waste products. Now we're going to go to the third energy driver, and I tend to leave it till last because it's so important and we don't want to get overexcited about finding something so important early on until we've got the basic readings. So we have got the 1.1 at the center of the chest. So 1.1 is actually blocked. So of our energy drivers, got 2 open and 1 blocked. I don't know whether I can bring this close enough for you to see. I think it will be better to use the other camera, but if we spend too much time fiddling about with cameras, then we won't get the job done. Okay, so let's have a look now at the, let's get my bigger book, and then maybe it'll be easier to see. The Acmograph chart. So this chart gives us the option to measure our energy fields, and we're looking at the quality of the field. So we're looking for a number. The lower the number, the worse the quality of the field. The higher the number, the stronger the field is, the better the quality. But before we jump into that, we're going to ask a very important question. And that question is the 15.3 at the forehead. 15.3 at the forehead is the sum of all the organic information. So far, we've looked at the surface, the vibratory information. When we start to look at organic, we're looking into what has been happening in that person's body over time. And has it begun to run inefficiently? And therefore, we're going to be looking for the blocks that we're going to be improving the efficiency. So 15.3 at the forehead. And is there a diversion or a distortion in the energy off to the left side to the right side by centimeters by meters? 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. 31 meters to the right. And I write that on my chart here in this area that looks like ears at the side of the head. And I'm also going to ask now whether the energy is distorted to the front or the back. So it gives an overall picture of what's happening in the organic energy. So is there a distortion to the front, to the back by centimeters, meters, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 41, 42. So a slightly bigger displacement to the back. So there's the emotional element of this balance is stronger than the physical element, but we will be dealing with both. So we want to now look at the deep field, the collecting field. So putting the antenna onto 5.7. And instead of measuring off to the side at every level, I'm going to just look at the overall quality of the field. And I'm going to look on this chart. So I'm going to change camera round. And turn, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. So you can see that I have the chart here, the propeller sign in the middle. We're going to look over this blue sign which says resources yin or 5.7. If you imagine these propellers take up the whole space to infinity, it's actually two separate charts. There is the organic measurements in the horizontal chart, and there is the environmental measurements on the vertical chart. And each flows up the numbers at the side. The numbers are up the side of the paper because we can't fit them on. The writing would become too small. So we jump from 10 to 11 here. So looking at the 5-7 from the physical point of view, 1, 2, 3, 4. And from an emotional point of view, so we just picture you now in a profile view, and 1. So we have a 4 and a 1, and that gets written onto the chart in these boxes over in the corner. We've got a before and there's a key, and then there's a before, and then there's an after. So we've got frontal, and there was 4, and profile was 1 for the 5-7. And then for the 7.8, the surface management field, the yang field, the radiant or moving field. So the principle is the same. We go out to 10 and then over to 11 and up the side. And so from a physical point of view, 1, 2, and from an emotional point of view, 1. So the energy quite low today. So let's see what's happening at the surface. And up this side of the chart, we have what we call the defense column. So the defense energy we measure on 17.6. And we go up the side of the chart, and it shows a percentage. So we have up to 10, up to 20, 10, 11%. So 11% of, not very much. We had a 2 and a 1 for our 7.8 field. Our defenses are the tip of the iceberg of our yang field. So if we only have the tip of the iceberg available and that field is very depleted or deficient, then we end up that our defenses are really much smaller than it looks. 11% looks like there's still something in the tank for you to use, but actually the tank is almost empty. So the small tip or the top 10% of that energy for the working day-to-day management of your cells, organs and tissues, to give 11% of that is still not very much. So therefore, when you come across particularly extreme weather conditions, or you come across illnesses, bacterial or viral illnesses, or you come across foods that you're sensitive to, or you come across people who are rude or nasty to you, then that has much more of an impact if your defense energy is low. If your defense energy is high, you can sort of bat off those things and still maintain your energetic resonance. But if your defense energy is low, and especially if that is particularly low because your resources are low and your day-to-day working energy is low, then you end up unable to cope with whatever life is throwing at you. So this is the whole purpose of Acmos, to make you more resilient in the face of life's challenges. So the next area we're going to look at is the impact on your mood. And so the mood column is next to the defense column. It's these lovely colored boxes. And so we're reading at 2 out of 7, which is what you tell your clients, unless they've already shared with you that they feel anxious, or particularly with depression. You don't want to be encouraging people to feel depressed by saying, oh, your energy is reading it that you're depressed today. If you tell somebody that, that's very depressing. So just be mindful of the way that you talk when you're working with people and with their energy. It's a real privilege to work with people's energy. So respecting that, if you give them information in a way that makes them more anxious or make them feel sad, then you're not doing them a service. So you want to just be mindful. Okay. So now we know that the energetic quality is not particularly strong. So if that energetic quality is quite low, we'd like to know where the biggest blocks are. So the easiest way that I find to do it, rather than reading through all 5 of them, front, profile, side, and the 5-7 and the 7-8, is just to ask. So I put my antenna on 5.7 and ask, where is the biggest block in the 5.7? At the head, at the throat, at the chest, at the stomach. So it's at the solar plexus energy center. And from a profile point of view, the biggest block is at the head, at the throat. And then on 7.8, the biggest block is on the head, the throat, the chest, stomach. So the same area, the solar plexus, the upper abdomen, and the emotional aspect. The biggest block in the 7.8 field is at the head, at the throat. So there's a reflection there between the two. Both have gone off in a similar pattern. So that's given us lots of information there. The other thing I'd like to know is the 5-17-6s. So is the vibratory balance open? And we already know that because we have blocks earlier in our readings. Is the 17-6 organic open? And we already know that because there is a displacement at the forehead. So subdividing down now, the organic is made up of mental, hormonal, and lymphatic. They're body systems, they're active working systems. And so is it a bias towards one or other, or are they all blocked? So let's just see, is the mental 17-6 at the forehead, is it open? So there's a block there. Hormonal is not open either. And lymphatic is open. So that fits with the earlier readings as well.